Hello, thank you for joining today. I'm delighted to be chairing this webinar about organizing for profession. The IEN is the world's largest nursing trade union and professional body. We exist to support and empower 500,000 members to be the best nursing professionals they can be, and to work in fair and healthy workplaces so that they can focus on what's important, delivering high quality evidence-based care for patients. Our expertise covers all areas of nursing, from professional practice and policy to clinical standards and employment relations. This puts us in a unique position to shape the profession, to influence policymakers, and to support and empower hundreds of thousands of nursing staff who are delivering care. I came to the UK in 2011 from Kerala in India after qualifying, and I have worked as a critical care nurse ever since. In the last 14 years, I've been I've been chair of the International Nursing and Midwifery Association Network UK, raising the profile of internationally educated staff. And I am currently a senior nurse at University College London Hospital NHS Foundation Trust. I come from a family of nurses. My wife is a nurse who worked as a nursing support worker and then become a registered nurse. My sister and my brother-in-law are also nurses, and my best friend is a mature student nurse who wants to join our brilliant profession as a second career. Nursing is not just what I do, it is who I am. I've always been interested in standing up for the rights of nursing professionals, but my journey to becoming ASEAN president really started during the strike action. I felt nurses were not getting the justice they deserve, and I wanted to make sure the voices of my colleagues were heard and included in the important conversations held about nursing pay. I feel strongly that nurses should be paid fairly for their work, that the internationally educated nurses should be supported in the workplace, that difficult conversations around things like abuses of migrant nurses in the independent sector are brought to the fore. In my time as president, my ultimate aim is that I want to help us to achieve pay justice for nurses. I want to do everything I can do to ensure the voices of our members are heard loudly by governments and other decision makers. To do that, I want to make sure all members, particularly internationally educated nursing staff, are engaging with the college. So we have a stronger, united voice. And that is what we are here to discuss and learn about today. Today, we will guide you through the essential skills and strategies needed to organize effectively within your workplace and wider profession. You will receive an overview of the benefits of joining an ASEAN professional forum if you have a particular interest in a specialist area. So let's start by introducing our first speaker, Christine Callender, Head of Nursing Practice, Workforce, Professional Practice and Quality, who will be covering benefits and functions of forums. Welcome, Christine Callender.
Thank you, Bejoy, and welcome everybody. It's great to see so many of you have been able to join us. And as Bejoy has said, I'm the UK Head of Nursing here at the RCN. And I'm going to spend a few moments to speak with you about how you can get involved with some of our some of the professional work at the RCN, primarily our forums. So a lot of the professional work that is delivered by the RCN is done with and through our members. And that is whether you're a registered nurse or a nursing support worker. It doesn't matter. You are a member of the RCN and can be involved. Some of you may already be involved in a forum, so apologies if you know all about forums already, but I hope that this will be a refresh with the information that I'm going to share with you. And for those of you that aren't part of the forums, I hope that the information will inspire you to find out more and get involved. Can we have the next slide, please? So what are the professional forums all about? Essentially, the forums are a group of RCN members with an interest in a particular clinical specialism or field of practice. They are UK-wide, so they cover the 4 countries across the UK, and they make an important contribution, as I've already said, to the professional work of the RCN. We rely heavily on our members to tell us about the issues in practice in terms of, for example, the standards, matters relating to best practice, where there are gaps in clinical practice. So the forums help us to build our professional knowledge, develop policy, and develop a wide range of events. We do have a small nursing team here within the RCN that support our members. And while they have their specialisms, the reality is you are our members and you are the ones with the clinical expertise that can advise and help us convey some of those relevant messages. Can we have the next slide, please? So it's a bit small and I do apologise, but this is a list of the forums we have. So as you know, that nursing is very broad and it crosses many specialisms in all areas of health and healthcare. So we clearly can't have a forum for every specialism in nursing, but these are some broad areas that we have. We currently have 32 forums, and what I will say is these are clinical forums. They are not, we don't have forums which oversee or describe a group of members. They are very much clinical forums. And we're just in the process actually of rebranding our children and young people forum so that they have a broader, or they cover a breadth of areas. So for example, the children and young people forums, we're looking to cover child and adolescent mental health, which will sit within the mental health forum, but we also need something specific for children and adolescents. Each of our forum is led by a committee of 5 to 7 members who work through and engage with the wider membership of the forum to lead some of the specific work in that area. In terms of the numbers of each of these forums, they range from the smallest is, I believe the smallest is the Midwifery Forum with about 600 members, to the largest forums, which is nearly 15,000 members. So it is quite, the range is quite broad. The forums are very much led by the members with the support of the RCN staff, as I said, and you can become as involved with as much or as little as you wish to. Each of the forums have a web page And within that web page, you will see the names of the committee members, the chair of that forum that you can communicate with directly, particularly if there's something within that specialism that you're interested in that you would like to get involved with. The web page will also indicate some of the work that they have done or are currently doing. Can I have the next slide, please? So, as I've mentioned, the forums are involved and lead the way in a range of professional activities, which is done in a variety of ways that I've summarised on this slide that you can see. I'm not going to go through each one, but just as an example, forum members, and that could be members of the steering committee as well as the wider forum. It just depends on where that specialist knowledge is. So forum members represent the RCN at key meetings where they may be a part of those meetings might be about new developments in that particular area, or they may contribute to and advise on clinical guidance and standards or changes within that particular area. So, for example, we are often invited to attend what you will often refer to as APPGs, which is the all-party parliamentary group, where we meet with MPs and key policymakers around practice, as well as you are able to meet other clinical colleagues within that field. Members may independently identify gaps in their specialist area, so they may want to lead on the development or update of guidance and standards for nurses. So recently we've produced, or there've been a request to produce some guidance for nurses within defence, new nurses coming into defence as an example. We have a very small pot of money, so we do support forums in the development of new projects, whether it be a resource, publication, or it might be in exhibitions or producing webinars, those sorts of things. We support the forums in doing that, and our members very much lead on the curating of those exhibitions and delivering conferences. You may have heard of the International Conference, Education Conference, and the Research Conference that we put on, which is very much led by our members. Can I have the next slide, please? So, in summary, there are many benefits of being part of a forum, particularly if you are part of the forum steering committee that I mentioned. But please note that even if you're not part of the forum steering committee, you can be very much involved and active within the activity of the forums. The forums provide an opportunity to influence best practice, shape clinical guidance and standards, and in so doing you're able to meet and collaborate with other nurses and a range of organisations across the UK. Excuse me. And on a personal level, it provides the opportunity to raise your own profile within your field or area of practice, and may give you some exposure more widely, as well as provide you with a range of experiences around communication, partnership working, and collaboration. So just to end, I want to just show you or play a short video so that you can, which will demonstrate and highlight some of the breadth of the forum work that has taken place over the last year. So if we could just show that short video, please. Thank you. That's great. So, and I can promise you, what you have seen is just a small snippet of some of the work that has been produced over the last year. Our forums really do produce a lot of content and resources out there for the wider membership. So I just want to finish off by saying anyone can join a forum. It is part of the membership with the RCN. You just need to scan the QR code or log into the RCN webpage and go to the Get Involved into forums and networks. And you'll see the drop-down list of all the forums that currently exist, and just click on the one that fits or is closest to your area of practice. So thank you all for listening, and I will hand over to Puru, I think. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yes.
That's correct.
Thanks.
Hi everyone. I'm Puru. I'm one of the organisers in the Activism Academy. So I'm going to do a short presentation, 6 slides in total, about how to empower your colleagues and make sure your voice is heard through organising in change. So I just want everyone to remember those 2 words: empower and organising for change, and what that means. So it'll just be a short journey in explaining that, how activism and organising and empowerment interact. So in terms of the definition for activism in the RCN, we define activism means taking action to bring about positive change for nursing and our communities. So that's the definition in the RCN, in our activism strategy. But in essence, what does that mean? If you distill it down to what it means, it comes down to power and the ability to act. So power is the ability to act, and how do we empower ourselves and our colleagues? And that's what we're gonna go on that journey and have that sort of like discussion, hopefully in the Q&A. So next slide, please. So power is the ability to our power. Where does our power come from? Power is the ability to act, and our power, where does that power come from? Our power comes from our collective numbers. So if you sort of like do a bit of reflecting and take a step back, if we're currently involved in the pay consultation, so if you think about it, if one of us says 3.6% is not enough, yeah. But if all of us, say all over 300,000 members of the RCN in the NHS say it's not enough, it's different, and that is a loud voice that the government has to hear, and that's what it means, that our power to bring about positive change comes from our collective numbers. So what does that actually mean? So next slide. So in terms of our collective numbers, our power, the ability to act, what is stopping our members from participating? So just doing a reflection, just to understand how much power we have. If you just take our workplace, like an acute hospital, if all the nurses and the healthcare support workers walked off, will the hospital still be functioning? Will the acute hospital still be functioning? No. So that's how much power we have. That's how much power we have in terms of affecting change. But what is it that's stopping us from actually stopping members from realizing that, from participating, to coming together? And I just want everyone to reflect on that. What is the barriers? What are the issues that are stopping us from actually realizing that collective power that we have to bring about positive change, not just say in our workplace, but also through wider in our workplace? And there are some factors that come into it, and that stops us from sort of like realizing that power, realizing that ability to act. And so I'm just going to go through what are those 4 factors, that that are there, that stops us from having that feeling of, you know, things are not right, things need to change, stopping us from moving towards action of actually changing that. So I'm just going to go through those 4 factors. Next slide. So what stops members from participating is basically could come down to these 4 factors, so to speak. One is confidence. We, you know, just that confidence. The other is know-how. We just don't know how to bring about change. If there's something wrong in the workplace and we feel very strongly about it, we just don't know how to go about bringing that change. How to bring about basically highlighting as an issue, and then getting our colleagues around that issue to take it to the employer to get that change. Time as well. We all live busy lives, and sometimes you're sort of like taken aback, like, do I really have the time to actually solve this issue? And the other one is fear as well. So a lot of us have that fear factor as well. Is it worth like popping our head above the parapet to speak about this issue, to basically bring about that change? So those are the 4 factors that sort of like stop us from actually sort of like moving towards action, but also getting our colleagues to move towards action to basically bring about that positive change in the workplace, etc. And that's where organizing comes in. So the organizing is there to actually give us the tools, give us the principles of overcoming these barriers and these factors. So that's so in this. So for example, in this pay consultation, where we're actually encouraging RCN members to go out and have that those conversations with their colleagues to get them, not just themselves to vote, but get everybody else to vote, and walk about their workplaces and encouraging everybody else to take part in the pay consultation. We, as the RCN, we're running these workshops, etc., empowering members to actually have these tools to actually overcome those barriers. And one of the tools that we're actually doing in those workshops is something called persuasive conversations. And in those workshops, we're going through the basic principles of those conversations, of moving people from feeling to action, overcoming these barriers of confidence, time, experience, and fear, but also getting them to practice as well, and giving them these shorthand prompts as well. So that's a function of where myself as organizer and the RCN's organizing the RCN's Activism Academy, that's where we come in. If we come to you as members and give you the tools, etc., the quick tools to overcome these barriers, and to basically realize the power you have, especially the collective power that you have. So moving on to the next slide. And so member power comes from member numbers, and so power from collective member. Why is it important? The more of our colleagues we have involved, the more power we have in the workplace. So in that example, in terms of member participation, so like in a campaign, if there's an issue, you notify you and your colleagues, immediately notify your managers. If it's not solved, you take it up with the rep, for example, that is put forward in the staff forum. So again, more people are getting involved, etc. If it's still not resolved, then basically you could have a collective grievance or a collective letter to the employer, getting as many people involved as possible. And at each stage, the more people you have involved, the more power you have in the workplace to actually achieve that. So just at every stage of trying to deal with an issue, the more people you get involved, the more power you have in the workplace, etc. So just to give an example of a campaign, that I've been working on is a sort of like a car parking campaign, and it started off with a few members in a WhatsApp group saying, look, car parking is atrocious at our employer. They're charging us through the nose. And then basically they got more members involved. They went round, did a survey to find out how many other of their colleagues are effective, and again getting more people involved. From the survey they got the result and they said, okay, this is an issue, this is not just affecting us, this is affecting everybody else. And then they went out again and got everyone to sign a collective letter. Eventually, like over 1,000 of their colleagues signed that collective letter. They produced it to the trust, saying, you know, you need to sort out the car parking. Once they've realized that there's a whole lot of people affected by it, the employer had no choice but to sit down and agree to a process, etc., of sort of like sorting out the car parking issues. So again, you can see that from like slowly getting more people involved, the members had more power vis-a-vis the employer to actually get the issue resolved. So that's just a short example that power comes from collective numbers. Why is it important? Because more member power. Member power comes from member numbers. So the more numbers we have, the more power we have with any issue, and that's one of the functions of organizing as well, in terms of how, not just sort of like get it sort of like speaking to our colleagues, but how do we get them involved? So again, it's sort of like just a short example of the pay consultation. When we're having those conversations in the workplace, not only are we asking people to take part in the consultation, but say, look, can you remind everybody else in your area? Can you take a leaflet, put it in the WhatsApp group? Can you mention in the handover? Is it okay if I come back in a week's time, have that conversation, see if there's any questions, and then you move on? So again, from one activist in the workplace going around encouraging everyone to take part in the consultation, we're also slowly we're also empowering our colleagues in every section of the workplace to do the same thing, and slowly build that power, not just also to take part in the consultation, but also pick up issues, build those relationships post pay consultation to actually solve other issues in the workplace. And that's why I encourage everyone to basically take part in the pay consultation, to become a voting volunteer, etc., to attend the workshop, just to learn those sort of like tips of overcoming those barriers, building member power for the pay consultation, because once you have those skills, you can use them to tackle other issues within your workplace or outside the workplace, in the communities, etc., because the same skills, the same principles apply. So there might be some issues that you and your colleagues are sort of like passionate about outside the workplace, and you might want to use those same skills to build that power. So for example, as organizers, we've had many of our colleagues who basically were upset, were campaigning for a ceasefire in what's happening in Gaza. They took that outside of their workplace, etc. They built a community and they campaigned in the communities for that. So just an example of how you could use those skills inside the workplace, organizing the workplace, but you could also use it to organize in your communities, etc. So next slide. So coming back to that initial question of where we started our presentation, how to empower your colleagues and make sure your voice is heard through organizing for change. Basic principles is we need to meet our colleagues where they are in the workplace, not just physically meet them, but also everybody's on a different stage, different levels of confidence, different barriers, different time that they might have, different know-how, understanding those, and then finding common issues and moving people to action. So that's sort of like the basic first step in terms of organizing. And what I want to do is encourage everyone here in this forum to be a voting volunteer And I think that's going to be posted in the chat. Be a voting volunteer as an initial starting point to understand the organising offer in the RCN, get involved in the workshops, etc. In terms of the persuasive conversations, in terms of the GOTV toolkit, etc. Because those basic skills that you pick up by being a voting volunteer in organising for the paid consultation, you could use them to tackle issues specific to your workplace or specific to certain other issues outside in the community, and basically empower not just yourself but your colleagues to make your voice heard through organising for change, positive change. So I just want to encourage everyone to be a voting volunteer in the paid consultation, take part and basically learn those basic tips in overcoming those barriers that I spoke about earlier, in order to really have that power, to ability to act, to affect positive change, make our workplaces a better place, and also make the world a better place. So thank you everyone, and I look forward to any questions anybody has in terms of this presentation. Thank you very much. Over to you, Harry.
Hi, thanks, Puru. That was brilliant. Hi, everyone. My name is Harry Eccles. I'm the head of activist engagement here at the Royal College of Nursing. So it's my role to support members to be active in things that matter to them, to promote our activist structures, be that through the clinical profession, in our forums, be that in our workplaces, as Puru was just talking about. Those skill sets and those resources can help us as nurses achieve the things that we want to achieve. So some of the things that we're working on and going to be working on is building strength within the workplace, building strength within the profession, making sure nursing is heard and listened to, and also working on equality structures to promote equalities organising. There's so many ways which you can get involved in this amazing college with this amazing profession, and we're just starting to get started, really. But what I would rather than you kind of listen to me, I want to ask my colleague and friend Olga to please join me. Hi, Olga.
Hi, Harry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I was rushing to get here. Sorry about that, running late.
We're glad you're here. Olga, the reason that you've joined us today is this is a webinar about getting active, getting involved, with a focus on looking at colleagues who come from different backgrounds, our diaspora nurses who come from all over the world and choose England as the place to nurse. I'd love to ask, tell me, how did you first get involved with the Royal College of Nursing?
So I got involved when I saw an international colleague was being bullied in my place of work. And I reached out to my manager saying, you know, this colleague is being bullied, and was told I didn't have a voice. So I remember actually meeting an RCN staff who was doing an LLE, and she said to me, if you ever want a voice, you can always come to the RCN and you'd make a good health and safety rep. And when that happened, I actually connected with her through the West Midlands office, and went on to become a rep. And so that's where my activism started many years ago.
And with, I mean, is that a big step? Is that something that how do you look back on that? Are you glad you made that decision?
100%, really glad I made that decision. I mean, look at me now. I'm the face of the RCN strategy 25-27. I've just been appointed as an ambassador for RCN RCN Live. I am the council member for RCN for the West Midlands. And it has elevated me. And so I'll say to international nurses, you can achieve anything if you just make that first step, get involved with activism.
That's brilliant, because one of the reasons that we decided to do today was we don't just want people to join the RCN to be a member. We want them to be a leader. We want them to be creating change. We want them to be leading. Tell us a little bit about that, what that means for you, because I don't know, you've mentioned it there, but you sit on council with 15 other colleagues, and oversee all aspects of the Royal College of Nursing, which is a huge position of influence, of power, and a really highly respected position. What does that mean to you, and what would you tell others looking and thinking about entering into leadership?
First, I'd say to them, get involved. So I'll say to every international, or not, whether you're international nurses or not, get involved with becoming active in the RCN, because it's certainly a way of helping you with leadership. And the Activism Academy will help you with your skill. It might start at your branch. It might just start by you getting involved with your branch. Then you find yourself going on to board, which I have done. And now governance, imagine you know, more than 500,000 members who you're actually supporting, working, engaging with, and at the same time making decisions, policies out there for nurses.
And in your journey of activism within the RCN, is there any particular moments that you're really proud of or that really stick with you?
Wow, there's so many. There's absolutely so many, but I'll actually, during the strike, that was a really good moment for me, because I was just appointed to the board chair. And at the same time, I was in a trust with over 25,000 members. And my manager said to RCN, we want Olga to be the chief negotiator between all of the trusts across BSOL and the RCN, because we think, because of the knowledge she has as a nurse, the knowledge she has as an RCN member, and also what I would not try to damage the RCN or at the same time my workplace. So it was focusing and working together. So that was a great moment for me, and it brought out a lot of trust and built a relationship with the chief nurses across the area I'm in, and also the RCN as well. And the greatest thing about it is that members actually was listening to me. So in areas that members wanted to be radical, I would, they would just put me on the phone and say, listen, Olga's on the phone. And I would just say, it's Olga. I remember a situation where a nurse, it was 2 nurses for a certain area, and they decided they were going to strike. And, they wanted them in, because if not, it could have been detrimental to the trust. And once I called, the hospitals were calling them, they wouldn't answer. Once I called and I said, it's Olga, you need to come in. And they were like, yes, Olga, okay, we'll come in. So it's building up that trust and building up that leadership, and people trusting you and knowing that you're doing better for them and you're doing good for them.
And those skills of relationship building, leadership, and advocacy for what's right, they're core fundamental nursing skills, aren't they? Do you see kind of being active in the RCN as part of your nursing identity?
Of course, without a doubt. I mean, the RCN is the only union that is a nursing body. So any other union you're going to join, it's got other things doing. The RCN is just focused on nursing. So of course, I think it's important for nurses to join RCN and for nurses to be involved in RCN. And if you don't get involved, you don't have a seat at the table. So it doesn't make sense for you to say you're joining the RCN, you're becoming a part of the RCN, but you don't get active. So I support being active. I support colleagues joining and getting involved. And I'm, for one, I've got so many cases and so many situations that I could tell you. Once they come to me for support as a rep, I'll say, you know what, just like what that lady did to me, I'll say, you could become a great rep. You could become a great so-and-so. Why don't you get started with being a volunteer and get active? So these are the things I do, and these are the things across the West Midlands. You see it working now very much.
taking those opportunities. And it goes back, doesn't it, to what Puru was talking to us about, getting more people involved, bringing more people in. So I guess we're going to have to wrap up because that's the end of our time. But I guess if we've got one ask for the people that are here, who are your colleagues that you work with, be that in care homes, independent sector, GP land, NHS, be that Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, who are the nurses you work with who you know aren't in a union yet? Can you get them to be members of the union, and can you get them involved? What a brilliant kind of mindset to leave that on. So Olga, thank you so much for all the work you do on behalf of us as nurses in your position as counsellor. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Harry. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm now trying to remember who I'm handing over to.
You're handing over to me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Bejoy.
So, 5 reasons why you should join Royal College of Nursing. I mean, we are the only nursing union with all the elements that we need to prosper and thrive in our workplace. So, to start with, professional development. As a professional body, we support lifelong development and access to ASEAN Learns Nursing, health and social care learning resources, and Europe's largest nursing library. And the whole world is envy about our library. So workplace support. As only nursing specific trade union in the UK, we have that expertise, particularly about nursing, that specialist workplace knowledge, understanding, and that understanding about policies surrounding it. And the legal advice. You receive comprehensive support and information from the largest in-house legal team of any UK trade union. And membership support includes immigration advice, welfare guidance, and career coaching, telephone counseling, peer support, and a handy guide to common English expressions available in our website. And career advice. What more we need to be part of RCN? So this is all available to all members from day one of joining ASEAN. So I recently spoke to a nurse who is working at an 8C level. Half an hour, I explained all these things to her, and she was surprised how much she could get out of a membership. So I would welcome, I know this is just a 1-minute explanation of all of this, but log on to our website and you can see how much you're missing out. So please do join and get the best out of your membership, and also be united in one voice for getting more. So next is our QA session. So please do pop in any questions that you may have in the QA, and we'll pick it up from there.
Thank you. Brilliant there, Bejoy. Yes, please have a little look. Can everybody see at the top of your screen above here should be a Q&A tab where you can pop a question. If you're struggling to find it, it's okay, you use the chat. But any questions about getting involved, getting active, about the forums, about organising, about activism, this is an area that we are growing and we're learning together. This is an area where we're starting to have conversations in new and exciting ways. And we want everybody to be part of shaping that. This is something that's not done to you. Trade unionism or the professional body being an active member, it's not something we're passive recipients of. It's something we can really get involved in and be part of that together. And I think that making change with positive outcomes for ourselves, our patients, our healthcare settings is something that probably resonates with us all. That's why we're here, and that's why we do the job. That's why we become nurses. So any questions about that, please do pop it in the chat or pop it in the Q&A. whilst we're waiting for those, there's a couple of links we popped in the chat. One gives you a full list of the forums, so please do go and have a look. I'm a proud member of the Advanced Nurse Practitioner Forum, and it's really helped me in my development, and not only in terms of figuring out some of the best things to do with my essays and work as I've gone, but also that peer support and access to funding. It's been instrumental. I'm also a member of the Mental Health Forum, which again does some great work leading in setting that kind of best practice and clinical guidance. So it's really, really something that you can pick up and do a little bit of. It's something you can get involved and lead in, and that's something that we want everybody to do. If we all do a bit, we're a very, very strong force to be reckoned with as well over 500,000 nurses and nursing support workers. Want to know more? Well, that's a good indication. Is there anything specific that you'd like to know more about? It might well be that maybe we need to do some more sessions, or can connect you in with your local region, or provide with more information. Our goal is that the RCN is this beautiful, wonderful smorgasbord of ways to get involved and be active and create change in things that matter to you. Can we join the RCN forum, be done on a full-time basis as a job? So the RCN, Christine, do you want to talk about that and what that means to be in the RCN? So the question is, can joining the RCN forum be done on a full-time basis? Is it a job?
The simple answer to that, thanks, Harry. The simple answer to that, it isn't a full-time job, although some of our members, and certainly those within the Forum Steering Committee, often feel that it's a full-time job. As I have said, you can be as involved as much as you want to, or as little as you want to. There are projects that are going on, and in fact, all of our members, they're not into, the work that they do for the forums, it's not a full-time job. We've got staff within the RCN that supports the work, but our members are the one that sort of lead in terms of the content. But in our simple answer to your question, no, it isn't a full-time job.
Thank you, Christine. So
I think it looks like, is there any other questions? If you're having a little think about typing, what I might ask is if our president wants to come back and give any final thoughts that he's got on based on what we've said.
there's something on the general chat. What help is RCN offering for international nurses who are facing difficulty at their workplace and being taken advantage of because they are on sponsorship visa? So, first of all, RCN is now lobbying the government for many things. Most important things are the visa rules. And we are campaigning for reducing the ILR fee. So there are a number of things, and I don't think I've got enough time, but Harry, could you do me a favor? Could you pop in that report that we published, the unreciprocated care, in the chat? And please do. It's a big read, but it would give you all the information that you need. And specifically regarding the abuses, we are now dealing with around 400% increased number of cases these days. And we are working really hard to support our members in their workplaces. Every case that's reported to us, we are taking it seriously. And we are supporting members with the right guidance, right support, not just from, through the information on the website, direct active help from our lawyers, from our immigration team, from our senior regional officers, from our stewards and reps on the ground. So we have a whole package and ecosystem of help we have built around the internationally educated colleagues. And I'm one of them. And because of my background, I get a lot of direct calls when people face with these difficulties, because one thing, like, people don't know a lot about this ecosystem exists. So it's our duty now, like, go out and talk more about this. And if you hear about an abuse in the system, please do direct them to our direct line. And Harry, could you also put the number on the chat that people can directly call RCN? So we won't tolerate any abuses in the system, and we are pushing the government as much as we can, not just through, like, the reports, through the news, and through every avenue that we can possibly influence to get the best for the internationally educated nurses. Does that answer your question?
Really helpful, really comprehensive, Bejoy. And I think there's a really good example there of how we can respond to individual situations as a trade union and as that resource, but also how we proactively lobby for those collective things that affect many people. Do read that report. I've posted the link in the chat because it's really, really important that not only do we deal with the individual cases where we happen, but we try and get ahead of it and prevent it from happening by demanding better of this government.
And in ASEAN, we really understand this. So that's affected, like, us on the personal levels as well, the people in it. And so we are working really hard for this. So, and please do come and join us in this fight. You could be a steward, you could be a board chair, you could be a council member, or you could be the next ASEAN president too. So come and join us on this fight.
Definitely. We've got another question in the chat about a dear colleague who is studying at Salford University about how to get active as a student. Yes, basically, students are our future generation of nursing. It is absolutely essential that we encourage student nurses to become active. So I'm going to post a link to something called a student ambassador, which is a role where you learn some of those basic foundational skills of activism, advocacy, leadership to help support your cohort, your fellow students. And that's something that you can take with you on that journey, as Bejoy has just talked about, through into being a rep, into governance and into those things. So I'll post that in the chat. And I can see one more question there, which is about, do we have to start as a voting volunteer before becoming a steward? Absolutely not. I will post the link in the chat for how you can join directly as a rep or steward.
This is truly brilliant. Harry, after this meeting, you need to copy all these links and send it to me on a WhatsApp, because this is so much good information. I want to share this with everyone on my WhatsApp.
And I think, and we will spread and circulate. I think that's it from our questions. So I think handing back to you now, Bejoy, I think, is it?
Yeah, you're right. So thank you all for your input today. And I hope that this has been a helpful discussion for all of you. Before we finish, I want to leave you with something I talked about on ASEAN Congress last month. All of you are the voice of the ASEAN. And I believe that the ASEAN will always be stronger by more closely reflecting the diversity of the profession. Because I believe in the strength of our collective voices, and it is important that voices are heard from across nursing. Here is what I believe. We have the power to influence change. Let's not wait for the election season to make our voices heard. Decision makers need to hear from us year round, because the real change happens when we consistently engage, share our concerns, and shape their thinking every step of the way. And it is challenging time for internationally educated staff in the UK. We get it. You may have heard the Prime Minister's announcement on immigration a few weeks ago and the language in it. But ASEAN believes we need an immigration system that works for care staff, nurses, and the people who rely on them. As I've mentioned earlier, at Congress, we launched a new report, Unreciprocated Care, Why International Nursing Staff Are Leaving the UK. So in this report, you can see what we have demanded the UK government. So we specifically asked them to remove the hostile immigration policies that face internationally trained nursing staff when they come to the UK. It's specifically the point that you asked. We should be welcomed, not penalized. All of you here and all of our internationally educated colleagues are a valued part of the UK workforce. So my ask for you all is to join with us, engage with the ASEAN, and help to make the nursing profession stronger for all of us. Thank you.